Well, hello there. My name is Dave Bila. I want to welcome you today to this new edition of News and Views broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access Channel, TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, national topics and issues to the issues to the Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and responsibilities of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will hear the broadcast rules. But absolutely no one's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied any unauthorized use. The accounts, descriptions, and events of this program, without the express written consent of its co-producers, strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the discussion, and any participants. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start arguing amongst one another, I want to bring something to your attention. Okay, I pulled up what is DEI, and
He's going to get in trouble now.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
You're wading into a deep pool.
Now wait a minute. Here is a local cable TV network that I punched into to see their opinion of DEI. I'm not going to mention the name. I'm not going to mention the three letters that it looks like Communist News Network. I'm not going to say anything like that.
That was the Clinton News Network.
Clinton News. I'm not going to imply that somebody is distorting the image, but so I punched in and I started after about 4 or 5 lines. I read the fledgling Republican White House. Ladies and gentlemen, of anybody of any sense of knowledge of the English language, do you know what fledgling means? It means a person or organization that is immature, inexperienced, and undeniable. What incentive do I have to continue reading this garbage from the Communist News Network when after 5 lines they're defining what this whole article is all about? Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case.
I got to ask, what incentive does any news organization have to pick a side, and a side that I think is not going to be as profitable as the other side? Whether what you believe or not, wouldn't you pick a side that would garner the most profitability?
Well, that's the reason why I wanted to get their opinion.
That network is going through a whole.
Oh, they're bankruptcy. They're in trouble.
They basically are bankrupt.
But again,
because they chose the side that.
Yeah.
I don't mind what side you pick, left,
I don't
right,
matter.
up or down. But don't put your eggs in the basket that are going to fail.
Yeah. Before they even got into the body of the issue of DEI.
But the person writing this,
maybe he doesn't.
Do they not like a paycheck?
It was
That's
written.
what they're doing.
It was written by. Was it? No,
Nicole Terry Ellis,
whoever she is. But anyway, after I read the first few lines, I said, I'm not going to go through the 8-minute reading this article.
Well, that's the beauty of America right there.
Yeah.
So in the capitalist world in which we live and the Constitution is founded upon, those people get to choose to write whatever they want.
Freedom of
even
speech.
if it doesn't make them money, and it's their choice, and then if we don't want to read it, they don't make any money.
Yeah. But how long has
Not
Trump,
smart.
how many days has Trump been in office, and what has he accomplished so far?
4, I think.
Well, get ready. You want to see nothing yet?
Oh yeah, it's coming.
I think
Good
that,
and bad. You ain't seen nothing
Wait till he
yet.
gets together with the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles. What a goofball.
one of the issues that Tony brought up, Bob brought up, I also was there at the prison function.
Was it good?
There were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
There were various
Did you
tables.
accomplish anything?
No, I think it was more. It was based on information purposes.
Yeah.
There were tables there, and as a participant, you could take these green buttons and put in various pictures of what you would like to see in this development. And what I did was I said, before you resort to putting pictures on a meaningless picture, you ought to get back to remediation of the property and who's going to clean the property up. If that property has been there since 1860, minus plus 1860, 150, 160 years, whatever it was. And how many souls, other than the ones that are buried, that are visible, buried in that cemetery back there, how many souls are buried under the tons of fly ash? They generated their own electricity, asbestos. What is under the ground? Sandusky, Ohio, EPA is here in town cleaning up Sandusky, Ohio, and they're removing a foot of metallic stuff from the ground and replacing it with black dirt. The Indiana State Prison property has burnt coal to generate electricity for years, and I have seen the rubbles of piled where there used to be an apple orchard. Just north of that apple orchard, or that fruit orchard, there were piles of charred stuff. How deep is that pile of charred stuff? It's an issue, I made reference in the last program. We're putting a cart in front of the horse, ladies and gentlemen, because I have documentation of state and local government activities and liabilities and protections. The individual who built that property, which is the state of Indiana, according to what I read under the brownfield site, is responsible to clean it up before we even consider taking over responsibility of that property. And until that happens, everything else is just, what do they...
Hyperbole.
Talk.
Talk, yeah. Lipstick on a pig.
Well, there's another very notorious prison over in Illinois, right? And it's still sitting there empty, right? And they use it for haunted houses every year. But to the prison. This is our opportunity.
Yes, this is basically a 150-year opportunity. If you go back anecdotally, you will find, and I'm not quite sure of the year, but somewhere between 1850 and 1860, because it became a federal prison in 1860, temporarily for the Civil War, because they put Confederate soldiers there that they captured. But somewhere between 1850 and 1860, Michigan City had the opportunity. They made the choice. They could have either Indiana State University, not Ball State. A lot of people think it was Ball State. It wasn't.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Indiana State University or the prison. We chose the prison. Now, on a 150-year column, and it's going to last that long, what happened was, for the first up to, let's just say, pre-World War I, that wasn't really a bad decision, because the prison did some things that was ahead of their times. They put sanitary sewers down Willard Avenue, and some other sewers on some of the side streets. So as a result of that, Willard Avenue had sanitary sewers before most of Michigan City did. They had what Dave is talking about, the generating station, which gave us electricity. Well, most of the rest of the city, and certainly the rest of the west side, was on gas lamps. We had a coal gasification company in there.
1880.
Yeah, we had a coal gasification company in here. We're still probably going to have to find the remains of that, and it's going to be NIPSCO's responsibility. But we got surveyors to do that. He'd go out there and do soil borings. But as a result of that, this prison was basically ahead. After World War I, Michigan City got well ahead of the prison, and it was there. It's been that way ever since, because the state fell behind. But keep in mind, we're making a 150-year decision. The thing I talked to him about, and I did talk to the mayor, she's been on this, she got ahead of me on this one. She was talking about how she's working on it. So did the city planner, Scott O'York. But I want to see this become the gateway to the Lakeshore National Park. And one of the places you start is with a lodge. We can call it a hotel, we can call it a lodge. But federal parks have lodges on the East Coast and the West Coast. We would be the only one in the Midwest with a lodge. And that would be a huge attraction. In addition to that, there's enough land there that we could set it up to do research facilities, a museum, an aquarium, and a number of other things. And these are the things that we ought to be looking at. The big talk in that meeting was jobs and housing. you'll get the jobs and the housing if you get this going in terms of, if you will, the gateway to the Lakeshore National Park and what goes along with it. You won't go the other way. In other words, you put the jobs and the housing in there, we will never be able to get the lodging and all that we need. So as a result of that, I think that's where we have to start. We're going to have to get together with the state in terms of getting the environmental problems, I'll just say that because I think you're going to find various types of them, out of there and get that cleaned up. If we get a lodge in there connected with the Federal Lakeshore National Park, you're going to find that they will be all over us and the state to get that cleaned up.
And so many ways to go from here. But we need, were there any plans, any preliminary plans? Because I didn't show up, I was at a convention, but I didn't show up. But
he was making money.
No preliminary plans.
But I spoke my piece. The plan I brought here, I gave to the mayor, so there's my 10 cents. And this is what I do for a living, so we do developments. So I don't know which way it'll go, but you're right. If we put housing in there, it will not draw businesses. I know you have to put businesses to draw, or recreation activities to draw housing.
Right.
And as I say, this goes so many ways because this, I think, is going to be the most important, crucial factor on the gauntlet that just was laid down in the state of Indiana to get our population up to make us, here's the goal, in honor of Burl Bergwald, a class
City of the second class.
City of the second class.
class.
Not class 2 city. A city of the second class.
And
That's the big issue today.
And that brings up another issue about State Senator Bohacek wanting to convert Michigan City from a current level of second-class status to a third-class status. And I've got a solution to this. I did a little research again, and there are townships located throughout the state of Indiana. And a unincorporated township that includes 15,501 residents is just located south, and it's called Cool Spring Township Unincorporated. There are 15,501 residents there that could utilize to support the population of Michigan City. But it has to be done through legislation. It has to be done through a referendum on the ballot.
Annexation.
But the solution for the city to degrade itself and by accepting status quo by the state is, that's all that we have to do is look at Cool Spring Township, undeveloped property, and incorporate that into the city of Michigan City. There are 15,501 individuals, could make the population up to, what, 35,000?
Almost impossible. Annexation has to be voluntary. It has to be over 50%. And if you annex, you have to provide services within a number of years. Sewer and water. And to get across Trail Creek with sewer and water, not easy. So almost impossible. But I like your thought. There is some low-hanging fruit the city could look at to do some annexation on the fringes and maybe get right to the number they need to be a city of the second class.
And we could also look at maybe some mergers starting with Potawatomi Park. We've talked about it before.
Yeah, how many people are in Potawatomi Park?
Yeah, there's a couple hundred at least.
That one I didn't get. Okay,
because we talked about that.
Yeah.
And we said it didn't make any sense for us to do it. And maybe now it makes sense.
Yeah. Michiana
Well,
Shores.
we were looking at it from a short term in terms of the financial situation instead of the long term. And you're going to have to look at these things from a long term, 10, 15-year perspective. Go ahead.
Michiana Shores has got 420 residents. Duneland Beach has 301 residents. Trail Creek has 2,016 residents.
2,000 residents. How many do you need?
Long
About
Beach.
2,000.
Long Beach has 1,169 residents. And then again, Cool Spring Township unincorporated with the 15,000. There's a total of 19,407 residents located within the parameters of the city of Michigan City. That maybe some deal making could take place. You got a situation with Long Beach. They need a sewer system. The State Board of Health is coming down on Long Beach because they're not compliant with
Well, we're in a suit over that. You know,
Probably
forget
gonna
that.
lose.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, negotiate.
I agree with you. But I'm
Negotiate.
just saying, we're in a suit over that one.
I understand, but again, who's got the leverage? We've got the leverage over Long Beach because they are mandated by the state to to get off the pot, okay, so to speak. So we could incorporate the Long Beach people that possibly.
Well, first of all, in terms of what the state is saying, we're going to have to find out. And Tony may know more about this than I do, but it's only certain segments of Long Beach.
Well, then you got Trail Creek. They're in the same boat.
It's the carrot and the stick, and for everyone that wrote that, you know, we did our time in church and Sunday school, it's the fishes and the loaves. So you don't go for one big chunk. You go for little fringe areas, and you calculate that 2,000 people. You know, if you try to ask all Long Beach, probably going to be no. If you want all Trail Creek, probably going to be no. We could get Potawatomi Park, they already want in. But if you look at those little pieces around the fringes, you could probably find enough people to make sure we're still a city of the second class.
In the other situation you can look at, and Tony's right, you would want to start with those closest to Michigan
Yeah,
City.
the little
Because
pockets.
what you don't want is a small pocket out here 15 miles outside of town to try to service with police and fire and water and sewer.
Yep.
You got to start with small in like Pot Park. They're in the middle of everything. We already got the infrastructure for Pot Park. It's just a matter of putting it in place.
And extremely strong leadership would take this issue and rather than wiltering down and shriveling up in the
Or
corner
getting mad about it.
or getting mad about it, you look for a solution.
You solve the problem.
You look for a solution.
Good leaders always.
It starts. It's if you can notice this great area. This is the unincorporated area of Cool Spring Township, and again, like you say, going across Trail Creek would be
That's
difficult. But where is Trail Creek
But
located?
yeah, you could take a swath of that.
Sure. Yes.
And you might have a swath of that would want water and sewer.
Yep. You definitely would want water and sewer.
So who is the responsible party to negotiate this possible solution? Who would take it on?
It takes brave leadership, and the city of LaPorte did that with Tom Dermody. It takes the leader to do that and see that vision and make sure it happens with a carrot and a stick. You incentivize, you don't penalize. You tell them what good they're going to get out of this and how it's going to help them, because their tax rates will go up, but they will get services that things like the fire service might lower their home insurance.
Yeah.
So you get things, a trade-off in different areas. So just look for the people that are on the level that need it. Like when Tom Dermody did 39 North, they needed to spend $20 million on a water tower, and they didn't want to pay all that, so that was a good trade. And now they're going to be in the city of LaPorte, and the city of Michigan City has to do that. So a good leader will realize the value and put their efforts into that.
It took me about 15 minutes, a little computer time,
Yeah.
to figure this thing out. And I just sat home. Between Jerry Springer and the other TV shows that I watch, I took a little computer time to resolve a problem.
So I'll give you some more homework.
Uh-oh.
The U.S. Census has now, since they have census blocks, right?
Yeah.
Bob knows way more than I do on this. And in those blocks, they tell you populations. So if you're doing the fishes and the loaves and which pieces would go together, you look at neighborhoods in little blocks and see, how do I get 2,000 people? Because that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got to throw this one
They
out.
can do
See,
that.
when you set these things up in little blocks, you can get way ahead in terms of technology, because then you can do quantum computing instead of AI,
Yeah.
and you're all set.
That's over my head.
No, but you can go to U.S. Census Bureau and they show you these blocks, and
Yeah.
you click
Yeah.
on the block and they tell you how many people are in the block, and you can just kind of see them and see which ones I need that are adjacent to the city now, and then start putting them together. And if you were GIS people are really good at this, Geographic Information Services. They look at these blocks and then they talk to leaders like the mayor and the council and other people that know, and they say, okay, what's the chances that this block would like to incentivize to move in? And you can start ranking the blocks on which ones you're going to piece together, just like a puzzle. And when you get done, you will be a city of the second
But
class.
I got to add one thing to what Dave said, because this tends to happen all the time with governmental units. They go to the leaders, the mayor, the fire chief, the police chief. The problem is, and this is what happened in the election, the underbelly of those people, they don't bother to contact in many cases to find out what they want. And that's exactly what Trump's team did. They went in and they went after the people who normally don't get asked. They just kind of leave them to the side, and they recruited them and they got their votes.
So they gave them what they wanted.
Yeah, because you've really got to go in, and I found this with the census and the questions we asked. You've really got to go in, and sometimes it was only 1 out of 20 that we asked these, but you really got to go in and find out why these people are there and what they want out of life and how can they get there. And that is a much deeper subject. Go ahead.
No, there was I listened to Bohacek and Ron Miller. And all of the questions that Ron brought up to Bohacek was, why did this occur and why is this happening? Rather than saying, hey, what's the compromise? How can we make this, how can we prevent the state from coming in?
Or how can you help us get to the number you want?
What do you want to prevent the state from coming in?
We've got a state representative, a state senator that lives in wherever he lives in Michiana Shores, Michigan.
No, whoa.
No,
he doesn't live in Michigan. He lives in Indiana.
In
There's
Michiana?
2 parts to Michiana Shores.
Okay,
one Michigan, one Indiana.
Okay, he lives on this side of the block, Indiana side. But the fact is, he's trying to cut down Michigan City, and yet we voted for him? Don't you think that an individual of some substance would be a support mechanism for a community to make that you can see Michigan City is on the rise and he's trying to cut us down?
But you have to get the Michigan City community to go out there first.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
raising hell.
I agree, but that's,
what
what
he's trying to do too. He's incentivized us to get off our pushes.
That is correct.
Start
and maybe that was the impetus for this 15 minutes worth of simple
he
research.
had seen enough of us sitting on our laurels. We have everything in front of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Now's your chance to get 32,000 people.
Tom Alavisos brought up many years ago about Unigov. Again, consolidation of all these territories. Well,
I'm a fan of that.
I don't know that much about Unigov,
Because Indianapolis is Unigov.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at this. If we want to maintain our identity as a city of a second class, this is a fantastic option. That's all somebody has to do is get out of their cushy political chair and make it happen.
I don't see much up or downside. I don't see much of a difference. The city of the second class has a mayor and a clerk. The city of the third class has a mayor and a clerk treasurer. So the clerk takes over the clerk treasurer. You only have 7 council people. The mayor sits as a presiding chairman of the board of works on the city of the third class.
Well, that's Laporte.
But then I don't know. There's not much difference. I don't see, other than saving a little bit of money on a couple council members. It doesn't. I don't know how it changes very much.
My understanding of state that population dictates the amount of road funding mechanism you get, the amount of motor vehicle highway fund money that you get. There are a lot of positive things of money coming into the community based on population size.
And we need to get more population.
We need more population. Here's a way to do it. Let's get with it. Or are we going to wait another 50 years to have something happen in this town?
Let's go back and start taking a look at what we can do with the prison site. If we get this right, you will find that the population and the jobs will come. There is what you have to do. You get this wrong, and I don't care how much work you do on this, you got problems. You have to get this right, and if you do that, this will be a major push for the city.
Yeah, but what Bohacek said was this will not, if this passes legislatively down in Indianapolis, it'll happen within the next 2 years. We got 2 years to shit or get off the pot. That's the way I see it.
So I think I'll make a bold prediction. If we get everything right in Michigan City, and I mean everything, from the prison, You Are Beautiful, the memorial site, the 11th Street, the mall, we could double our population. If we get it right, if we get this right.
If you just get 50% of it right, you will have 25% of the population.
Yeah.
Okay, my last dialogue for today is I had an opportunity to talk to Kevin McGuire, and the 3 years worth of research that I did talking about redevelopment funds and the availability of redevelopment funds to the Michigan City area school system, if they request it, that 15%. They're working with Baker and Tilly, because I think Baker and Tilly listen to me, a little citizen, nobody, who just reads, and they found the value in what I was talking about. And within the next year, watch to see how much money the Michigan City area schools is going to be requesting from the Redevelopment Commission.
And I'm going to add something to that. First of all, this is a consolidated school corporation. You are asking the Michigan City taxpayers to foot the bill when you've got about 7 other entities that ought to also be contributing to that. Now, I would be in favor of it if you had it directed to a specific situation that involved Michigan City school kids, or was so serious that the schools had to take advantage of it. And the things I'm thinking about are, first of all, metal detectors. We know that there is a problem throughout the country with people bringing in various kinds of weapons to the school system. Badly needed are metal detectors. It has to be a contribution, but if you can direct contributions as to how you want that spent. The second thing that I would be in favor of, along with the metal detectors, if there's enough money, is that we start to take the kids that are below grade. In other words, we've got an 11-year-old that's in a 4th or 5th grade class. You can't have that, so what they're doing is social promotion. So they're in a 7th grade class and they shouldn't be there. You're going to have mandatory school on Saturdays and in summer school to bring these kids up. And there's probably 400 or 500 of them in that school system. So as a result of that, if you could just cut that number in half, that school system would be so much better off. So if they will direct their money to going to those two things, you're going to have to hire a teacher, and in my opinion, you're going to have about no more than 10 of those students in each class on Saturdays and during the summer, and you're probably going to have 2 aides, because you're going to have them working with individuals. You can get the aides from kids that come back from college that are in the educational programs at various colleges. Hire them to be the aides, and I think they'd love it, and maybe they could even get credit for it where they're going to college. These are the things you're going to have to look at. Because if you're going to do the school system, the rest of us taxpayers, any good, you dump $2 million or $3 million in there, it just gets spread around, and all of a sudden we get nothing out of it. You have got to make sure that we in fact get our money's worth out of it. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is that Michigan City is already contributing a lot more than the rest of the entities. And let me put it this way. There's 1 high school, there's 2 junior high schools, and there are 8 grade schools in that school system. Michigan City High School, both junior high schools, 5 of the 8 grade schools are located in Michigan City, which means that we're providing the infrastructure for all of those school systems. There's only 3 of them that are outside the Michigan City civil system. So we provide the police, we provide the fire, we provide the sanitation, we provide the water for those while those kids are in school. Michigan City is doing more than its part. You have to make sure that the rest of these entities start contributing their fair share.
And to add to this argument, this money derived from the tax base of Michigan City, the basic buildings, the basic structures, the basic building that stood there for 15, 20, 30 years, and it's being taxed, and that's the tax base of the community. TIF funds are separate from the tax base of this community. TIF funds are derived from construction, new construction within this TIF district. And as the research that I have done is that the Redevelopment Commission gets over $8 million a year in addition to the tax base that Bob is talking about. We pay taxes, and that money is frozen on the assessed valuation of the existing property within our community. TIF district money has nothing to do with with this development that you're talking about because it's derived from new construction, and that people who utilize the TIF funding mechanism for new construction may also be paying twice in taxes. They're paying for the basic fundamental process, and they're also paying because they acquired some money through the TIF district. That's double taxation, and I don't support that.
Well, let's look at it this way. That new construction you're talking about, who's providing the infrastructure for that? Michigan City.
And it's being paid by the tax base.
Yeah, and
tax
that money is going to
Yeah.
Michigan City. It should not be going outside of Michigan City unless all the other entities that are involved are going to clip their fair share.
But the established
You got to
tax-
go to these other entities and tell them,
I don't
here's your
believe.
fair
Yeah,
share.
I don't believe in double taxation. You don't pay. You don't pay out of
Double
one pocket.
taxation. There is no double taxation.
If you're in a TIF district, you're being taxed twice. You're being taxed for the property that you own that's within a TIF district that has an assessed valuation, and if you take and add to that property, which is new development through the TIF district, you're going to be taxed twice.
You're going to be, no, the TIF district new development is what pays that tax.
They get the extra money.
Who's paying
They
the money?
get the extra
Who's
money.
paying?
Whoa. They get the extra money. They don't get the part that they're already paying. He's right.
The base never changes. The base never changes. My house is assessed at a certain thing because it's been there since 1970.
Oh, that goes up.
It does. It goes up through assessment.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It does. But the fact of the matter.
I know what I was going to say. All right, who's he talking to?
Well, now wait. All right. In order to be I got to be truthful about this. I'm a veteran. I have a disability, and that affects my tax rate.
Oh, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, we're in the same boat. So I don't believe in double taxation, and I see a benefit. Bottom line, the school city has an opportunity.
And they better make it right.
And
I don't want to see that money just get thrown out
Right.
there. You got to do something about if metal detectors in those school systems. You got to do something about these kids that are far behind in their classes. And that's going to take special education.
You're going to have to see a paradigm shift somewhere. And I don't know what school district will do it, but somebody needs to do it. You have grade school, which is what, up to 5th grade, and then you have middle school, and you have
Well,
high
I think
school.
they're up to 6th grade now.
6th grade. You got middle school and high school. Now, for those of everyone who went to college, you still have freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. But it doesn't matter for your classes. It's how you go through your classes and your curriculum. You could be a freshman and get all the way through your junior studies. The sophomore and be through your senior studies. The schools need to do more of that and create the flexibility for the students that are slower or the students that are faster, and give them the opportunity. And I think high schools are starting to do this pretty well. But you have students that need more help, so you shouldn't say, okay, this student needs more help and they are a freshman, but now you're going to go to the sophomore class even though you really didn't get through the freshman stuff. And that's a stigmatism on the student. So if the student just had their work and their load, and whether it took them a little longer to get through math or not so long to get through reading, and you build that flexibility in there so they can do that, and you're going to need some help. Some teachers are going to just teach differently. You don't teach the 30 kids and think they're all on the same level. But you got to take the stigmatism away from that. You're not in my class anymore. Well, I'm in an honors class, or I'm in some other class that's a little slower math class, and you can't call it slower. That creates a stigmatism. And then we help them with the flexibility and elasticity to get through high school and get through what they need without forcing them to the next level. Because they need to get the first level done first. And it might take a little longer.
Now, if we believe in the letter of the law, we're talking the letter of the law here, the school corporation is under the same law that we are adjudicated under. Okay, Indiana Code.
So the state of Indiana, go ahead.
Listen. Indiana Code 367257 states that 15% allocation to tax proceeds not used for debt service can be used for educational programs, work training programs, work retraining programs, and any other program designed to prepare individuals to participate in the competitive global economy.
So you could use it
State
to bring
law.
these kids.
That is correct.
Well, then I'm for it if the Redevelopment Commission targets it for that purpose.
But that's not
and
my job.
they get reports
Yeah,
on
I can't
If
tell
you're
them.
in there complaining, then you got to get this fixed.
Well,
you
but
open
again,
your mouth, you got to go through the whole process.
Hey, I'm a senior. I'll be 82 in October.
I'm 85. Don't tell me about it.
This issue has been on the book since 2018.
Okay, I got another topic, which
okay.
kind of goes
I give
into
up.
this one. So Michigan City is bound on the west side by LaPorte County line, and that's why we have Pine School out in Porter County.
Yeah.
Now, the state of Indiana, I understand, is passing a law, which Illinois is very upset about, that will potentially allow counties in Illinois to annex themselves to Indiana. Well, why can't the state legislature allow sections of Indiana annex themselves across county line to Michigan City, which helps us with the Pine area where the Pine School
In
is,
Beverly Shores.
the Pines,
Well,
Beverly Shores and the Pines.
Yeah.
which is just on the other side of the county line. If they were part of Michigan City and part of LaPorte County, by moving that line, we would get more people for our city of the second class. They're already getting our sewer and water, and we would get the money, their money would then start going help us in the school district too. So you have to think outside the box like that. If the state is going to allow counties in another state to annex over, why can't they allow people like the Pines and Beverly Shores to be part of Michigan City instead of, because they can't because they're in Porter County?
And who is the individual that is degrading Michigan City from a city of a second class to a city of a third class? That state senator should take an issue like this and make it an issue.
If he's going to do
If he's going to do a job, otherwise get the hell out.
he can open up the opportunity for us to allow us to do
Michigan
this.
City.
By
We
exposing.
degraded ourselves because we never were able to overcome what happened to us in the 1970s.
We never stepped up.
Yeah. And we did it to ourselves.
But if he's going to do this bill, he could also add a portion that says, if in your need and people want to, like the Pines, be part of Michigan City and thus come into LaPorte County, they are allowed, if they would like to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. Look,
Fair is fair.
Look at what's going on here in LaPorte County, and the majority of the state of Indiana is Republican, and there's only a little handful. There's only a little nesting area of Democrats in the area.
2 of the 3 sitting here. Go ahead.
Oh, we got the majority here.
The Republicans want to take over everything. Is that really?
No, we just want you to administer it correctly. Oh, my
And-
gosh.
and-
If you
and I'm-
look at administration and what's going on in California, that is absolutely
California's got their own problems. What we have to do is, for 50 years, I have not seen tangible growth in this town other than this year.
If you look at administration in any government, you're not going to be fun. It's
Let's
just,
go
it
back.
doesn't work.
Yeah,
Let's go
I'm
back.
not going to say any more. I'm
Let's
going to
go
sit back
to
and
something
listen.
positive, because I want to follow up what I was talking about Tuesday night. And I did talk to the mayor, I talked to the city planner, talked to a number of other people, and I even got interviewed by some TV station.
Uh-oh.
I don't know where that's going. I don't even know the TV station. But she came up to me and I did an interview. If we could get that in Indiana, we call them lodges. If you go to our various state parks that have them, this would be the beginning point. Now, where do you need to go from there? Well, number one, you need to set up a research situation. And by that I mean you need research facilities. And one of the big things you're going to need is a research vessel. But we have in the surrounding colleges what's known as TAs and RAs, teachers assistants and research assistants. These are graduate students that need to publish or need to write thesis. This would be an excellent opportunity if we could set up these research facilities to bring these kids in, and you'd be getting kids from all over Northwest Indiana, including Notre Dame, St. Mary's College, and by the way, the president of Notre Dame is a Marquette High School graduate. I think he might look somewhat favorably on a situation like this. In addition, you would be getting professors and assistant professors from Purdue Northwest, from IU South Bend, from IU Northwest, and also from Purdue Northwest, not only down in Westville, but also in Hammond, and Valparaiso University. That research vessel, you could combine some of the talents of these kids, bring their research back, and set it up so that we would have a really good situation when it comes to understanding the vegetation, the animal life, and the fish out in Lake Michigan. I was reading an article someplace, I couldn't believe it, and I think they've got it overstated unless they've counted all sorts of subspecies, but that article said that there are 150 different species of fish out in Lake Michigan. We probably could identify off the top 15, if we're lucky. I think I could probably pick off the hat 15. If I had had the opportunity, I was going to ask the audience out there, I never got it, but how many people have ever seen a sturgeon? Raise your hand. How many do you think we would have got? Maybe 2. Sturgeon are a fish that goes back, way back, 10,000, 20,000 years in history.
Oh, man.
These things get to be
Ugly
80
looking.
to 100 to 120 pounds.
Ugly
They
looking
are
fish.
huge. They are bottom feeders, and they are down deep in cold water.
They're like reptiles.
I think I talked about burbot once before, and I found out about them about 1.5 years ago. But there are a fish out there called a burbot. It is a cold water cod. If you go into a restaurant on the East Coast and ask for a cod dinner, you're going to pay about $35 or $40. Now that's saltwater cod. Freshwater cod here, for some reason, got the reputation for being a trash fish. They are not a trash fish. They are very easily eaten and they taste good. But they don't normally get caught because they spawn December, January, and February. Then they go back down into deep water, and they're below, well, at that time when we had commercial fishing, they were below the nets of the commercial fishermen. They are down below the lines of the trawlers, those out there that are fishing for salmon, for trout, and this kind of thing. They are down below those lines. There's all kinds of things that we could take a look at and would help out Michigan City, would give us a better situation in terms of fish food for Friday night fish fries. And I can remember, these guys are too young to remember that, I can remember when we had perch fish everywhere in Michigan City on Friday night. Every bar, every restaurant, you had fish on Friday night. They were all perch. A few were lake trout. But that could come back if we set this fishery up right. In addition to that, one of the other things we're going to have to do is research on these mussels. We have 2 types of mussels out there, zebra mussels and quadra mussels. They plug up pipelines, but they also take a lot of contaminants out of the lake, along with taking out plankton, very small items that are fish food. What we're going to have to figure out is how do we get the good parts of these quadra mussels and zebra mussels that take the contamination out of out of Lake Michigan, because basically they're little siphons, but don't use up the plankton that the small fish need to feed on. There's all sorts of research that can go on, and I'd like to see us set up a research ability in that prison system. And I think it would be hugely positive for Northwest Indiana.
And in addition to one of the fish in the fisheries out there that Bob didn't talk about were the carp in Lake Michigan. And you know how you prepare a carp? First of all, after catching it, you take a piece of oak and you fillet the carp out, you split them in half, you lay them on a piece of oak, and you bake them for about 25, 30 minutes or 30 hours or whatever. When it's done and when it looks edible, you pull it out, you throw the carp in a garbage can, and you eat the wood.
Okay, Bob has a good point, but he's looking at schools, because this is a new world. He's looking at schools that have physical buildings in our area. We can look beyond this, and it will take somebody a little time, but not much
He's right.
time.
He's ahead of me technology
To open up and ask for these master students and PhD students who are doing their majors and their theses on planning. Notre Dame, Purdue Northwest, Purdue, IU, there are many institutions in the United States and across the world that would see this opportunity to take a piece of ground like the prison, and they would do all the research for us. They would give us their plan of what it could be, and most of the time, these plans would be nothing we have ever thought of, and they would charge us $0.
Oh, yeah.
But you just got to pick up the phone and talk to the professors who are the head of these master's students and PhD students and say, here's this project we're about to do. Would you ask if some of your students would like to do a thesis on this parcel of ground? And here's everything we know, and we would just like to have a copy when they're done. And I would say you might get 10, 20, 50 different theses back to you. I'm sure the stack would be immense compared to just asking a few people. Of course you're going to ask us, but these people who are probably across the world, Germany maybe, Japan, China, they might come up with something we never, ever would have thought of. And it's free, but it takes a phone call, find out who it is, find out the professors. First you look up who does masters and PhDs in planning. Start calling or emailing those professors, email's probably better, with the packet saying, would you entertain giving this to some of your students and do a thesis on it?
But you got to have the infrastructure in place to do that, and that's where we.
Well, I think you just give them a map and everything you know about it, package it up in an email to these professors, a standard email, and ask them. Probably take somebody a week.
Well, but if you're going to do Lake Michigan, you got to have the research.
So yeah, not Lake Michigan. I'm just talking.
Oh, you're just talking about
I'm just talking the prison.
Yeah. Okay.
Take the prison site, send it out to, I don't know, 100 professors and whatever, and maybe if you get 20 of them back, they're going to do a thesis. That's better than nothing. And you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed, because I teach, you'd be amazed how they think, out of the box, what they know that we don't, across the world. And instead of boxing ourselves into what we think we know we want, or what some consultants we know we pay we want, let's take another shot at it and see what it's not going to. It shouldn't cost us much. Some emails and some time. And I do know the planning department is understaffed and overwhelmed, and I don't know who would do it, but somebody should do it. It's a good opportunity.
Well, it's a great opportunity for the city, and it's a long-lasting opportunity. You're talking about something that if we get this put in place and get it put in place right, just because of our location, right across from the Lakeshore National Park and within a half a mile of Lake Michigan, and especially if you get that research vessel, which we can share with DNR, which is right down there, Department of Natural Resources, you've got a situation that will be 200 years in Michigan City, as long as that lake is there.
And if you did some outreach, you never know. Some of these PhD or master students might want to be a planner. They might want to move to Michigan City. And we're looking for people to help us out. These might be somebody who say, look, I never knew about Michigan City. This is a very nice place with the lake and everything they have. Maybe you ought to think about going there, see if I'd like to live there and then help out and work in the planning department. I don't know.
And they can pay the taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first of all of these guys are putting the cart in front of the horse, okay?
You got to clean it up.
In reference to the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, the state and local government activities, liabilities, and protections. Specifically, the guy who made the mess has to clean it up before I would accept that property for anything in this town.
And it is a cart before the horse in a way, but that's why I brought up Illinois. There's a prison. We all know the prison over in Illinois. They use it for haunted houses. And I'm sure it's the same thing, the carrot or the stick. You got to clean this up. So the state of Illinois says, nah, I had no money. I'm just going to let it sit there and rot.
And that's exactly what could happen to the city of Michigan City. If we accept that property,
you have to take the impetus.
Yeah,
we better not take it.
If we accept that property without any restrictions, we're going to be SOL after 2030 when the prison is gone, because we won't have the resources to rehabilitate that property.
To clean it up.
Or
to clean it up.
If we can't get it cleaned up to start with, we could start to say, here's the facilities that we want to put in, starting with the lodge.
Mm-hmm.
To do that, we have to get all of the property around it cleaned up. So
well,
maybe,
you have to at least have a study for what environmental conditions are. It'd be a phase 2, maybe a phase 3. A phase 1, just kind of look at what you know, see photographs, see what you maybe know, then where something's contaminated. Phase 2, they start taking soil borings and see what's out there and mapping out what's out there. It might even be a phase 3 where it actually goes start testing samples and see what's there and put some monitoring wells in. but you're probably at least a phase 2, so you can map out what areas you're going to have to work and what areas we can develop now.
Yeah, that's what
And looking at
That's
all
kind of the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
What
all
can
of
we do
this
now?
all of this emphasis that's going on to a piece of property that we know nothing about, but yet it's surrounded by tons and tons and tons and tons of fly ash. Okay?
Well, I don't know
not.
that we've got tons and
We
tons,
hope
but we
not.
got a lot of fly ash.
We got a lot of flying. We got roads in the pines that are the subbase to the roads in the pines. I don't believe it's crushed limestone.
Slag.
That has got to be fixed.
Heavy metals.
I think they did fix part of it, but they certainly haven't got all of it.
And they're working on it, but Bob's got a good idea. We need to find out what can we do now. And if
What's
the state,
there, and what's there
available
and what
to
can
build
we do?
on,
Yeah.
and how it won't affect the future. But if the state's going to give it to us, we say, okay, do your phase 2 study and tell us what's contaminated, how bad it is, and which ones we can use, and then we'll start working on the pieces that are good while you clean up the other part.
And to give South Shore a little credit, when initially they were coming into town, I believe it's a black ditch running out into Porter County. I brought to Mike Nolan's attention the flow of black ditch, and when he laid the double track, or when they laid the double track over the black ditch area by Highway 212, they put 2 gigantic culverts to enhance the flow of water down. Again, not to say that it was totally my pushing him forward, but it was the fact that they had somebody under their employ that possibly saw the betterment of these, improving the water flow out of Porter County.
They just saw the value of the investment. Let's do it now while we're here, so we don't have to tear the tracks up and do it later.
That's correct. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but the fact that he did it,
He saw the value.
He saw the value. Yeah.
But that's what we have to start working on in relation to the prison system. Take a crack at where would we locate this lodge. Once you've got that started, you can then go in and ask the state to do soil borings around that entire area and find out what's there. And as a result of that, you're going to know approximately what you have to do to clean that area up. You've got to start in chunks of that prison, and what do we do to clean it up, including the grave sites. You're going to
I'm not touching those grave sites.
I was told that if you touch those grave sites, you bring a priest out there and you sprinkle holy water.
They weren't the most outstanding citizens. But if you're going to do some sort of lodge, if that's the direction we're looking at, we have to make sure you have a direct, uninhibited connection to Mount Baldy and the National Lakeshore. And crossing 12 is probably not a wise thing with the traffic. So we might have to move 12 to make sure you're not walking across a busy state highway to get over to the National Lakeshore, which would be very nice.
By the way, we're going to have to move 12 anyway, because in the
Yes.
next 10 years, Mount Baldy is moving. It's
gonna
moving across
swallow it up.
12. So moving 12 is not an extra
Mount
expense.
Baldy will come to us at the lodge.
Yes,
It will.
it will,
In
yeah.
so many years.
Hey, I'm not one to spread rumors, but Michigan City is going to lose one of its prime citizens to something that he may consider a bigger and better place in this world. A little sausage maker from St. Stan's, Brother Sean Gray, is, I guess he's having an appointment, and he's moving to the University of Notre Dame.
Moving up in the world.
Moving up in the world. And where am I going to buy sausage from at Easter time? Where are we going to? He has provided immense little support
Well,
things.
you go to the VA once in a while in South Bend, I'm sure you just stop by his house.
Well, I hope again. I wonder if he gets to Notre Dame, whether he's going to have to wear a collar and a cassock, or I mean, whether he has to.
Our biggest problem is going to be finding somebody who can drive that Marquette bus. He's the only one who can do it.
To replace somebody like
Again, he is an individual. He can't say enough about him. I know a couple stories, but I'll keep those stories to myself. But the guy is really cool.
And the sausage, by the way, is really good.
And believe it or not, Brother Sean isn't from Indiana. He's a cheesehead. He's from Wisconsin.
that. And that's why he makes good sausage.
That's why he makes good sausage. We're getting down to what, 5 minutes, Andy? 4 minutes? Getting down to 4 minutes.
So Michigan City has a tough road, but a very, very awesome road ahead of us.
Positive.
In a very short amount of time. I think things will move very fast. Hope we get it right.
That's because people have the money, and when they have the money, it moves.
Yeah, there's a lot of money coming. A lot of money coming in this town.
Well, and you see, again, you see the same concept at the federal level. You see things have changed over the last 4 or 5 days with what Trump is pursuing. He's basically telling the residents of the United States of America, you take a new attitude, people, because I'm the boss.
Things are changing. And
Things are changing.
It's going to be fun. Hope it changes as well.
There's a lot of people out there that are ready to move with him. That's the big thing he's got going for him.
What's the value of a Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's $106,000 right now.
For one?
One coin.
Where do you buy it?
You can buy them on PayPal.
You transfer that amount of money electronically?
You can buy a piece of it, but you could. No, people aren't buying one Bitcoin. There's a rare person owns a Bitcoin at $105,000 a coin. And so this time last year, that Bitcoin was $35,000. So get ready, folks, because if nations, and I'm not want to say Bitcoin or anything, but crypto is a way that we can transfer money and use money and do balance sheets. That whole world is about to take off, and I don't want to tell you to do it because it's risky. It could go to $1 billion, it could go to 0. It's just an algorithm. It's a way to transfer money. It's a bookkeeping system. So do what you want, but Bitcoin's at $105,000.
So does AI have any influence in the Bitcoin?
And get ready for AI because people are still mining them, and the monster
quantum computing.
Quantum computing could overrun the algorithm and screw the whole thing up too. The variables are moving very fast, and if you look at it, because people talk about crypto and Bitcoin, so the quick thing is, in a couple minutes, is that the dollar is based on the full faith and credit of the United States, and that includes the land, the minerals, the people, and everything we do. Crypto, or whatever crypto, is based on an algorithm and a shared bookkeeping.
An algorithm that's out in the cloud.
There's nothing backing it. So that's what you want to do. Take it on your own self.
Wrap it up, Bob?
Yeah, for whatever we can do to get Michigan City moving forward in terms of bringing it as the gateway to the Lakeshore National Park, that's what we need to do.
We need to be the gateway of Indiana.
I'll take that too.
Not just
gateway to the Lakeshore National Park.
We want to be the gateway. Yes?
Oh, that's it?
Yep.
You're you're giving me a lot to talk about, I guess. We got one. All right, we're getting down to 1 minute. Next week there'll be Bob, Tony, me, and a young man, County Commissioner Rich Holyfield, I believe is his name. He's a new county commissioner, and I've been working on it for the last 3 weeks, trying to line everything up and get all of the ducks in a row. So supposedly at the time I spoke to you about, Andy, I'm going to get a hold of Holyfield, and we'll be rolling in the morning to tape the show. I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact show's co-producers Bob Pollock, Dave Bila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com, Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com, or Tony at emailagm@yahoo.com. Or you may direct any ideas for any future shows to our one and only pain in the neck staff writer, Sarah Bellum. Showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Also Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. on Channel 99. And you may also enjoy watching the program 24 hours a day to correct my mistakes at 99 Navigate News and Views. That's how I was able to find it.
It's just Navigate News and Views, not 99. But you can type in 99.
Sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't. I want to thank everybody for watching, and make it a good day.